a lot of people look up to you, and I'm talking professional athletes, and obviously everyone else in the triathlon world and outside of the triathlon world. But I noticed that Rinny spoke very highly about you in her speech. It was very nice. Her speech was great.
It was, wasn't it?
It was really good. Luke McKenzie as well speaks very highly of you. We spoke to him the day after the race, and again, he mentioned you in his chat with us. Luke Bell, I think, contacted you after Ironman Melbourne last year.
Yep.
You guys had a chat, and you're the reason why he won Ironman Australia.
Well, I'll take the credit.
Totally.
He did the 8 hours of hard work.
But do you, I guess sometimes it's hard to, I don't know, look at yourself as a mentor, but do you recognise yourself as a mentor to some of these athletes?
You know, I just want to help if I can help.
Yeah.
Because I was the same when I started out. I had no coach. I was in my early 20s. I knew nothing. I was a soccer player, and I was lucky that I guess improved to a point where I got invited into the Australian team environment and met Greg Welch and McKeely and a few other people, and they always helped me.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like, I don't know, to be honest, I kind of am flattered when people ask, because that they must respect my opinion enough that they think I may have the answer that they're looking for. And but really I'm just trying to do what I had done to me, which was I had people for no reason other than they wanted to help take me under their wing.
Yeah.
And I remember I met Greg in '95. He'd just won Kona.
Yeah.
And I just started the sport 3 months before, and it was funny because he was shooting a commercial for a Korean soft drink, and
of course he was.
Yeah. And they were looking for some guys to go in the background.
Yeah.
For these shots of him running out of the water, and the guys in the background were myself, Simon Whitfield, and Greg Bennett. We were the extras. So. And I remember that the shoot went for 2 or 3 days, and every time there was an opportunity to jump in a car with someone and change location, I'd try and jump in with Greg and just ask him questions. And he took an interest in me. He says, "Well, what's your background?" And I told him. He said, "These are the things you need to do." And I really knew nothing. That was, I'm pretty sure that was about May 1995.
Yeah.
And been in the sport 6 months or so. And he helped me a lot, and I think when you're young, that leaves an impression on you. And then I didn't see Greg again until January '97, and so we're 2 years later. By then I'd improved to the point where I've been given some World Cup starts. In fact, later in 1995, I was given my first World Cup start in Sydney, which I finished 8th at, and then I didn't get another World Cup start for 12 months. And I finished 4th in Auckland.
Yeah.
So on the basis of those 2 results, I got called into the Australian team to train, and they were having a training camp down in Thredbo. So I went down there, still at uni full time, but it was in the uni holidays, and Greg was there, as were a lot of the best triathletes this country's ever produced. And at the time, Brett Sutton was the coach, and it was a very competitive environment, and he used to partner you up, particularly with the run sessions. In front of everybody, it was competitive. He'd have the A group, the B group, and the goal was to try and get in the A group. That were the fastest runners. They did their 400s or 800s on the quickest times.
Yeah.
And it was openly competitive. And some of those run sessions I did, the group I used to run with Welch and Trent Chapman. He and I were Trent and I used to run with Greg, and Greg Bennett as well. He'd be in the group. And I remember we did this set one day, and it ended up just being Greg and I. I think we were doing 400s, and we were warming down afterwards, and he said, "There's only a handful of guys in the world who could have finished that session that we just did." And I'm thinking, who's he talking about? Because there's only, and that's right, he said, "There's only a handful of guys who could have done that session, and 2 of them are right here." I'm like, who's he talking about? There's only me and him right here. And he's like, "That's right, mate, I'm talking about you." And I think when someone like that puts confidence in you,
yeah, right,
because you don't know how good you could be.